Now, live from the Newsplex, Dick Nipping and Erica Ruiz. This is KRQE News 13, earning your trust.
For 14 years, Santa Fe has been haunted by the unsolved kidnapping, rape, and murder of a young mother.
The evidence was scarce, the trail was cold, and the case nearly forgotten. But a determined detective would not let it go away. And his hunch got him on the trail that finally led to the killer. KRQE News 13's Larry Barker investigates.
She was the sweetest person in the world and never would have hurt anybody.
Tragic. I mean, this single mom who had, worked her whole life and was trying to take care of her kids.
Tracy Barker was a good young woman.
It just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this horrible thing happens to her.
She had a lot of promise. She had a bright future ahead of her, and that future was snuffed out by a killer.
Tracy Barker's life ended tragically 14 years ago in Santa Fe. She was 22, a single mom, an assistant manager at Pizza Hut. Laura Novak was her best friend.
She was smart, and and pretty, and she just seemed to have it all.
Tracy was last seen May 2nd, 1989. The next day, her car was still parked in the driveway, but she failed to show up for work. Later that day, her body was found in a secluded Santa Fe field. Today, the crime scene is under a housing development. Tracy was horribly brutalized. She had been tied up, strangled, raped, and hit over the head with a rock. The state police soon made an arrest, charging her stepfather, Dane Collins, with Tracy's murder. But the investigation was flawed, and months later, Dane Collins was cleared of any involvement. So it was back to square one. A vicious killer on the loose, and no one knew his name. But as the years passed by, the trail grew colder. Dan Crone is a Santa Fe attorney representing the Barker family.
Over a 10-year period, how much progress was made in the hunt for a killer in the Tracy Barker case?
Virtually no progress whatsoever. While the case was open on the books, it was not actively pursued at all.
Boxes of evidence sat gathering dust. 12 years later, the case file landed on the desk of a young state policeman.
Hello, this is Agent Shane Arthur with the State Police in Albuquerque.
Agent Shane Arthur is assigned to the State Police Cold Case Squad.
It's regarding the homicide of Tracy Barker.
Even though the killer's trail had long grown cold, Agent Arthur had a hunch about this case, and it paid off.
Tell me about the day that you got the phone call.
The scientist at the state crime lab called me on the telephone and asked me if I was sitting down. I told her I was sitting down. She said she had identified a suspect who matched the DNA.
In fact, when Tracy Barker was murdered, clear evidence leading to the murderer's identity, his DNA, had been there all along.
14 years ago, when the crime occurred, the technology was not as sophisticated as it is today. In fact, 14 years ago, we didn't have DNA capability in our laboratories. Few labs did in the country.
The killer's DNA was run through a nationwide computer database consisting of DNA profiles of tens of thousands of criminals. The incriminating evidence, a few hundred cells. It was just enough to match the killer's DNA sitting in evidence for 13 years to a name.
Based on the evidence, who killed Tracy Barker?
Christopher McClendon.
Any question in your mind?
None. No question in my mind.
38-year-old Christopher McClendon is a convicted serial rapist who has been in and out of prison most of his life. He is currently in a New Mexico prison serving 2 consecutive life terms. He is also a suspect in several other unsolved rapes and homicides in the Santa Fe area. Detectives have given the DA evidence tying Christopher McClendon to Tracy Barker's murder. It could be a death penalty case.
Individuals that committed murders years ago should be worried, because back then they weren't thinking about DNA, nor were the police, because it wasn't available to them. Now that evidence is being dusted off, taken out of boxes, run through various labs, it's with great success around the country.
Tracy Barker was a vibrant, young woman with a bright future. I think the family does not want for her memory to be lost.
I guess I just want closure. Mostly for Tracy and for her family.
Today, a faded bouquet of flowers appears on Tracy's grave, and the note reads, "Your killer has been found after 14 years. Now you can rest in peace." In Santa Fe, I'm Larry Barker, KRQE News 13.
But of course, this story may not be over. State police are asking anyone with information about Christopher McClendon's activities to contact them. Go to krqe.com and then click on As Seen on KRQE. Incidentally, Larry Barker is not related to Tracy Barker.
Now, live from the Newsplex,